Let's see here. All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another live edition of Laneside Reviews. As always, we are trying to do something different. I listened to you guys on the website and on the Radical Facebook, the Radical Fans page, and you wanted to do something cool. We wanted to do a live stream of actually drilling up a ball. So I'm going to be laying out and drilling the Beyond Ridiculous. We can also talk about, I'll bring in my Intel, and we can talk about that as well if you want to. And just generally about bowling, whatever you guys want to talk about. I got to be here drilling anyway, so why don't we get right to it, right? So I'm going to find you guys a nice little spot here. I'm bringing you over to my clip so that you guys can get a good view of the press. I'm going to be back in just a second. I'm going to go get the balls. That's one. This is number two. Okie dokie. So let me pull back here to the chat and see what's going on. Beard Beast in the house. I am indeed Steven. Watching it work. Nice to see you, Dale. Okay. So let's see here. Ooh, split screening it now. Okay, so before we get too far, I want to show you guys some cool new stuff. The first thing we have is my new Radical jersey. I'll kind of pull you guys up a little bit. You can see this. It's a Radical World. Designed this myself. That is a Planet Earth bowling ball with Phil and Mo. On the back, of course, my name backwards because camera. I got some new jerseys coming in, some really wild ones. So you guys are getting a backstage look at the rest of LSR here. We got some Parker up on the wall. We actually have a really, really cool autographed Sean Rash poster. But back to bowling stuff. Right now we have, you can see the Intel that's right here that's already been drilled. This is, in fact, for those of you who have seen the video that went out on Radical's web page, this is, in fact, the same ball that I was drilling in that video. Let's see here. I got to bring the chat down so I can find it easier. There we go. Nice and neat Radical jersey. If you guys like that jersey, if you really like that Planet jersey, it is available through Logo Infusion. Don't forget to use our coupon code at the end of our video. We have a ton of coupon codes back there. I think 2 or 3 that are good to for our fans to get cool stuff. So don't forget to use your coupon codes for Logo Infusion. You met my buddy once. I probably did. That is true, Stephen. All right. So you can see I've already got some writing on top. I had some ideas of how I wanted to lay this out. And in fact, I have already laid this ball out once. But we're going to do it again, just for fun. So I got to write some stuff down. because I actually really want to do this layout. It's one that Phil and I worked on recently. Phil and Mo, of course, are rocket scientists and have been helping me deal with my tilt issues. So we have to drill equipment a little differently to get the proper reactions for me. By tilt, we talk about where the ball is tracking around the ball. I use a lot of tilt, where most people are in, I think it's 16 to 20 degree kind of area. I'm down around about 7 degrees. So you'll notice when my ball flares, it flares right over the thumb and the fingers. I use the most surface I possibly can over the ball. The unfortunate part about that is it tends to grind into the lane. It rolls really early, so I don't get a lot of motion down lane, and when the patterns get drier, I tend to struggle more because the ball can't get down lane. Oh, yeah. I have met Mike. Mike's a good guy. Need the code to get that Dragon jersey. Oh, if you guys have seen my Dragon jersey, that's available on Logo Infusion as well. If you just let them know it's the Laneside Reviews Dragon jersey, you may have to call them to do it because it isn't on the website. I don't think they've added it yet. So to get any of the jerseys you see me wearing, if it's one of our designs, you can just go on them and let them know it's a Laneside Reviews jersey, and they can find it from there. He was the one who switched me to Radical. Well, then I definitely like Mike. We're out of focus. There we go. Okay. So let's talk a little bit. The layout that we put on this ball here ended up being 90 by 3 inches by 45. The reason we did that, this Intel, even though it's a lower differential core, and what differential means is the amount of flare potential it has, even though it is a lower differential core, it flares a fair amount. You can still get 3-4 inches of flare on it. So I wanted this to play on sport patterns, really flat patterns, especially like the Masters that's coming up. So I needed something that was going to get down the lane easily, but still have a little bit of pop for me. So worked with Mo a little bit, and then took Mo's stuff and went and talked to Phil, and we kind of worked it out between us that we wanted to go 90 degrees on the drill angle so the ball would naturally get down lane. For those of you who don't know dual angle, it's an angle, distance and an angle that is kind of uses mathematics to lay out the core so it does certain things. You'll see them a lot of time, people talking about them. 90 degrees means it's going to go way down the lane, real far down the lane before it starts to hook. The 3-inch pin, which is this blue guy here. Oh, come on back. To my PAP, which is right here, which is my preferred axis. That makes the ball transition pretty quickly, so it's not going to do a big flip down lane. It's going to start up real early, really grab the lane, which sounds bad, but in fact what it does is smooths out my shot for me. It means that on these flat patterns, the balls that are really angular will turn left. This ball will be very controllable. And then the 45 degrees at the end is the val angle. That's how quickly we want to respond to friction. So 45 is kind of middle of the road. It's kind of, we've asked it to be a little bit lazy, just so that it, like we said, doesn't turn left and doesn't grind into the lane. So that's this guy. Now we have, boy, this ball is bright. Whoop. That color is amazing. It reminds me of a color that came out on another company's ball back in the 90s that was like eye-gougingly bright. The thing I like about this ball is it's so bright you can't help notice the performance on it. Looks like we got a question here. So I'm running pin up between fingers on my fix. Medium speed. What would you suggest for the Intel for me? If that is your go-to layout, I would say go with your go-to layout. a lot of people try to make things, myself included for years, tried to make things way too complicated. In your bag, you need maybe a couple, one or two layouts, maybe an emergency layout. But layout is only 10 to 15% of the total possibility of the ball. 60 to 70% of the actual ball motion is the cover. And then we have how we manipulate it. So if we turn it, if we spin it, what have you. So if you have a layout that you like on stuff, put it on your Intel. Because all it'll do is it'll just react a little bit smoother, a little bit more controllable. You'll be able to keep it in front of you, so it's not gonna jump on you. Now it is a strong cover, so this is potentially the first ball you could take out of your bag, really easy, and just play with this. For me, like I said, I'm drilling it for sport patterns, and it probably either this or my low flare. I have a low flare asymmetric. Will be the first ones out of my bag, depending on what I'm playing on. So I hope that helps. Thank you, Steven. Yeah, you did something similar. Okay, so let's wipe this sucker down. I'm just going to write down some notes here so I can remember what we put on it, and we'll talk you through why we're doing this. Okay, so let's wipe this sucker down. And as we've said before, you know, I always clean my stuff with the same stuff. I think this is pretty familiar stuff here. That purple stuff. Using it to get pencil lines off and just to clean my equipment in general. There are lots of awesome cleaners out there. People ask me all the time, why do I use purple stuff? It proved itself to me, and I liked it. You can see our videos that we've done in the past on it. I was really happy with its performance. So that's what I use. I use it in my shop. I use it down in the lanes. There are lots of good cleaners. My number one tip, please always use a cleaner. Rubbing alcohol is not a cleaner. And I want to make that clear. Rubbing alcohol is not a cleaner. Get a cleaner. It's good for your ball. It's designed for your ball. Next, back to what we were doing. Okay. So we're going to pull ourselves out here. Hey, Prosect. And we're going to start making some lines. Let me check here. Well, my Xeno Pro is pinned down below my middle finger. Basically, for more pin down and in. If that's what you like, Steven, do it. It's just, what's basically is going to happen is if you put your favorite layout on it, it's just going to perform smoother. And it's going to be something that you can go to control the lanes. That's basically the big difference you're going to see. I can make this thing, I've already done it. I can make this thing hook coast to coast. I can keep it in front of me. I've drilled it so I can keep the ball, I can keep straighter lines in front of me. So when the pattern's tough and I can't throw the ball and really hook it, I can still keep a ball in play and score. So we've got our Beyond Ridiculous. This is a symmetric ball. We got just about a 4-inch pin on it, which is no problem, Steven. Basically my favorite. It's one of my favorite pin distances because it allows me to have some versatility laying out a ball. Because of where this pin is, if I wanted to go with like a 50 by 3.5 by 30 layout, it would put the CG pin kind of over here so I could get a low hole in it to make it start up faster for heavier oil. I can move it around. But for this, we are going to do my favorite ball, a motion hole. Has anybody in the chat ever actually thrown a ball with a motion hole before? Or have you watched our mechanical advantage videos? I'll wait for you guys to... It's a 4-inch pin to CG right now. So has anybody out there thrown a motion hold ball before? Cool. For guys with low tilt, like myself, motion holes tend to open up the lanes a lot. it basically makes your symmetric ball, when it makes the flip down lane and the your axis starts to migrate, which might be a little bit too complex for this video. But basically your pap, where your pap starts, it starts to migrate across your ball as it spins. You've seen it. Some people, like, their fingers come over the top to one point on the side. It becomes asymmetric. It becomes very asymmetric as it comes over. 3 motion holes. Holy Sydney. And welcome to the chat, by the way. So guys who have very low tilt, motion holes give them more angle of entry down lane, gives them a little more pop down lane, so that the ball will carry better. Because guys like us, we leave a lot of flat pins because the ball eventually runs out of energy. So we've got our first line on here. I'm turning into Grandpa Simpson, going off on tangents. We got our first line here, and we went to 90 degrees. Our drill angle is 90 degrees. Same as what we did on the Intel. The reason for this, as we said, we want this ball to get down lane. We're actually doing this motion hole for the Masters coming up. So we want this ball to get down lane, but have a little bit of recovery. We want it to have some pop down lane, but we don't want it to jump sideways. So we're using the 90 degrees to get us some natural length. And then pin distance, I am going to 3 7/8 inches. Now let's talk about this. When you're drilling equipment, you have to make sure you know if you have a symmetric or asymmetric, because depending on if you have a symmetric. Yeah, I see that, Sydney. Yeah, same issues. A symmetric ball, when the pin distance gets over 3 and under 5, is basically in its maximum flare position. When you go below that, it starts to roll early. When you go past that, it gets a little more hockey stick. So it'll go down and kind of jump a little bit. But with asymmetric balls, once you pass that 3-inch mark, the distance that your pin to pap is will determine how your ball reacts down lane. So for somebody with a lot of tilt, a high tilt player, a longer pin to pap distance means the ball will stand up. It'll pull itself over and get into a roll. So that way your ball will finish. It won't just keep skidding forever. For myself, I can only throw asymmetric equipment under 4 inches. Because mine's already digging in so much, if I have it stand up too quickly, it's just going to roll straight. It looks like it never hooks. So for symmetrics, like the Beyond Ridiculous, which is a symmetric, we are doing a 3 7/8 inch pin. So it's in that max flare area, but it's not going hockey stick on us. Every Dale, my tilt is 20 degrees, Rob. Haven't tried motion hole yet. Not lots of oil. Yeah. You definitely, when you do a motion hole, you want to make sure that you're throwing it on the right condition, because it is going to get strong down lane, which you can take care of with surface. The more surface you put on it, like the lower grit, the less it's going to have jump down lane, because it's going to burn off some energy. So if you have no oil, or not lots of oil, that's going to make a motion hole ball might not be the best choice. In that case, we could go with a layout like we did on the Intel, with the 90 by 3 by 45 to get a nice smooth reaction out of it. Everybody understand everything okay so far? Anybody got any other questions? I feel like I'm really Grandpa Simpsoning tonight. I'm kind of off on a whole bunch of tangents. So just yell at me if you got a question. So we're back to here. So we got the 3 7/8. So that's going to put it in a max flare position. It's not going to be too hockey stick. It's still in a relatively smooth position. So we're going to line our prosect up here, and we're going to go to 35 degrees. So that's the val angle, 35 degrees. It's a relatively fast reaction. As we said, 45 is kind of middle of the pack, kind of lazy. We're going for 35 so that when it sees the oil, it will make its move. So we've got a low differential ball. It's not going to flare. Sorry, this is the low differential. This is the high differential ball. This one's going to flare lots, which hopefully will produce lots of hook when we need it. So my PAP, you can see here I've marked it as a quarter up and 5 1/4 over. Boom. Rob, loving every second of this. Thank you so much. Anytime, Omar. Glad to have you watching. Just getting into the bowling and bought myself my first ball. Got a Grease Monkey Whack. Rob Davies, great choice. I have 4 of the whacks, so I'm gonna say awesome job. It's a great ball. It's a great all-purpose symmetric ball. So you made a great choice. Can a push-up determine your PAP without watching you bowl? Yes. There is a method. If there is enough track on your ball or the oil is visible on your ball, that what they can do is actually trace the line out. And I'll show you here on this ball here. Say we've got a little bit of oil kind of dotting around there. Everybody able to see that? Kind of. So say there's some oil on there and we can see the very first oil line. What they'll actually do is they can trace this out and either put it on a spinner and trace the whole thing around, or they can use a handy dandy armadillo. This does all the work for you. Because all you got to do with an armadillo is load up. You can see here I put the line right under the nearest line, put my pencil at the end as I break my pencil. And now you can see I've got a point where my PAP would be, and you can just measure across and up. And that'll tell you all that information. That is a piece of information that you should always have. I did a class for the Bombers Bowling Club in Florida. Hey guys, if you're watching this, miss you guys all, hoping to be back there very shortly. And one of the things that we talked about in our course is that when you travel, even just in your bowling bag when you're at your own home center, you should always have, let me see if I can turn this off here. You should, oh, that's terrible. Oof. Yeah, let's turn it back on. Sorry guys, I'm trying to fix the lighting. You should always have your PAP, your full span, all your pitches and everything with you. Just in case something happens when you're traveling, your ball gets stolen, it breaks, something like that. You have everything you have in case you have to buy a new ball. How much stronger is the green ball over the previous red one? The green Ridiculous, the Beyond Ridiculous, is going to be very similar to the original black Ridiculous. If you watched the thing with Phil this afternoon, he talked about how it doesn't quite see the transition the same way as the black one. So you're able to throw this ball much longer than the black one. So it's kind of a medium ball. It's not super strong. It's the cover stock actually comes in, I believe, just below the Intel. But this is a much stronger ball down lane, where this one's much smoother. And as for the ASIM, I think the ASIM was about 3 2 stronger than the original black one, so it'll be pretty much similar to this one, so probably 3 2 different. And a different motion because one is asymmetric and one is symmetric. I am throwing a blue strike zone from 2005 pin down. I'm looking to find something newer to replace it, thinking the Kinpin or the 035. Both awesome choices. The blue strike zone. Offhand, I don't remember that one. Let's find out. I did take a couple of years off. I was sick, and then I fractured my sternum, which is the center of my chest right here. So I had to take about 2 years off bowling, which was not fun. But let's see here. Blue strike zone. So it's a pearl ball. Looks symmetric. Zone asymmetric. 2.52. 048. I know the perfect ball for you to replace yours with. So, Sydney, if you can get your hands on one, you should be able to. The new Tremendous Pearl is almost identical, number for number. So it's going to give you very similar performance as your Blue Strike Zone. It's just going to be stronger. So it's going to allow you to hook the lane a little more, get a little more traction in the oil. But the numbers are almost identical. I actually looked it up on here to find out. So I hope that helps. The 055 is in my bag. Steven, I throw it all the time. It's generally the first ball out of my bag on my house shot. I've got it at 3,000 grit, so that I can get it down lane a little bit because it's so strong. Awesome, Steve. 035 is in my bag too. That may get replaced when I go to the Masters with the Intel, just because this is laid out a little differently. My Magnitude 035 is laid out very aggressively, and a little too aggressive, I think, for the master shot. Anytime, Sydney. Glad to help. So let's get back to this ball here. So we've come across. I'm just going to extend this line here so we can start putting my fingers and stuff on it. Yep. Oh, darn it. I forgot I broke that pencil. Oh, actually, I got a neat pencil to show you guys. I got a really cool thing to show you. So I got these from the National Bowling Store, the owner Doug, in Buffalo. And if you want some, if you go to their website and message him, I'm sure he can send you some. They do cost. They're not free. But it might be the best Pro Shop pencil you've ever seen for you Pro Shop guys out there. I'll try to get this closer here. It's a mechanical Pro Shop pencil. So it actually has replaceable leads in it that you can just turn up and turn down for working on stuff. So I'm going to use one right now. Okay. Would you recommend a surface change on the Intel and Ridiculous or not? Steven, I'm kind of funny with my equipment. The very first time I went out to the World Series, before I competed, I got a chance to hang out with Chuck Gardner, who is the ball rep for Brunswick. And he said something to me that made a lot of sense. He said, when the balls go through the factory, generally they coat them with some kind of lubricant. And this is why. It's not to actually lubricate the ball. It's for when they're going down the line and when they crash into each other. If they are lubricated slightly, the balls will not bruise. Which means they hit and they won't scuff, they won't scratch, stuff like that. During the process of when they leave the factory, they are cleaned. But we all know sometimes just things kind of stick on, some places, not others. So what Chuck told me is before you throw a brand new ball out of a box, hit it with a used 4,000 or a used 2,000 pad. What it'll do is it'll get off anything that it's picked up during transit, even dust and dirt, and make sure that you have a true reaction, a true look at what your ball is going to do. Now, I'm not saying hit it hard like you're resurfacing it. I mean like a super used old one, and you just hit it nice and light just to get off anything that might be sitting on there. And that's what I always do. From there, I will throw a full game on a ball before I change the surface, which means I never just start a league with a new ball. I don't just pull out a new ball and throw it. I will throw one game with it to kind of get a feeling for how the cover stock reacts, how the core revs up, things like that. And then I'll adjust the surface accordingly after that. I know it was long-winded. I'm sorry. I'm really Grandpa Simpsoning tonight. As a staffer, do you ever have the opportunity to throw equipment from competing manufacturers, even if it's just for fun? That is the golden question I get asked all the time. Rob, why don't you throw other people's stuff? When we started this show all the way back in 2007, actually this January was our 10-year anniversary. So congratulations to us. When I started out, I was not signed with anybody. I had been working with Brunswick reviewing equipment in magazines and such since I had been 18. And I had the opportunity to throw anything I wanted. And I got out into the market and I threw everything. But I realized that for my style of game, the Brunswick brands offered me everything I needed, every reaction that I wanted. I only signed with Brunswick. I've only been a full staffer since June 2013, so 4 years. So I had 6 years of being able to throw anybody's stuff. I still threw Brunswick. Brunswick Deviate Radical. There are people out there like, oh, you got to try other stuff, this company, that company. I have tons of staffer friends who offer me stuff all the time, and I turn it down. We get other stuff in for the show all the time. So you guys can actually see me. We get stuff in for the show all the time. I don't get to throw it. I made my choice to sign with Brunswick because they offer me what I consider the best opportunity to throw and win. Now, there are people out there who are like, well, you haven't won anything big. There's lots of bowlers out there who haven't won anything big. There is a bowler in my house that is, I'll even say, is even better than me. It's tough when you've got a Canadian champion bowling in your house to win some things. Not an excuse. If I want to win, I got to bowl better. And right now, he's bowling better. So I made my choice. I feel like I've even had opportunities. Since I signed with Brunswick, other companies approached me about leaving, and I chose to stay with Brunswick. They are my family. You see us post this hashtag all the time about being #family, and it really is. Any one of my staffers, my fellow staffers from any of the brands, if I needed help, I could jump on the phone, I could jump on Facebook, I could talk to them, and they would help me out, as I do with you guys and I do with the other staffers as well. We really consider ourselves a family. We help each other out all the time. And that's one of the things that keeps me at Brunswick, is I know how they treat me is as if I was part of their personal family. So yes, I could if I wanted to, and no one would know about it. I could go into a center late at night and throw anything I wanted to, but I don't. So let me go through some more here. So the same reason oil was applied to lanes originally. What vault number? Oh, hey. It's a 101. I got that while I was doing, a lot of you guys know, a few years ago, I made my living as a professional photographer and videographer. This sweater I got in Seattle at PAX Prime from actually Bethesda. So this is like my favorite thing ever. You'll probably see me either wearing this or my Grey Team Brunswick one or my Nike sweater always. Also, you can see my shop is outside. And up until a few days ago, it was -30 in here. So it's another reason why I'm always wearing stuff. What else we got here? Okay, usually clean them really good before I use them out of the box. Good plan. My shop is really pushing Bowler's ID software. How accurate is it to determine your stats? Is it a good tool for laying at your ball, or is old school knowledge still better? I have not used the bowler ID myself. I have heard very conflicting reports about how accurate it is, and that has to do with the ball that you're throwing, that it's been put into, if it's been put into your ball or a everybody use ball and such. I think any time that you can gather multiple points of data, like if I had bowler ID available to me, I would still probably do the regular way as well to see how close it is, just in case my mathematics is off. Yeah, the more data, the better. The more intel, the better, because knowledge is power. Hey, Dave. Awesome to see you. Dave Corbin is actually bowls at my home center, Scoops' home center as well. He is one of my students that I have been working with as a silver level coach. Dave's only been bowling for, I think, less than 2 years now, and he is just he's really picking it up good. So it's awesome to see you, Dave. Somebody's message was retracted. Where's Scoops? Scoops is at home. He's probably watching. Scoops has a young family at home. His little one, Alice, is just adorable. And he's taking some time with his family, which I think is awesome. Have you ever made it out to Brunswick HQ in Michigan? Yes, I have. I made it out there, and I was going to do some videos, except that whole place is like Area 51 full of secrets. So I couldn't do any videos from the inside. Oh yeah, it's cool. It is like my wonderland. That's what it is. Let's see here. What other hobbies have you had to set aside that you miss? That's a really good question. Let's see. I've done a lot of stuff. I have been called Jack of all trades, master of none, which is pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. Over my lifetime, I've played semi-professional baseball. I was, if you've heard of a game called Magic the Gathering, I was a certified judge and player. I love it. It helps your brain learn how to think outside the box when you have to solve problems. I miss my photography and videography. I really miss traveling. For you guys who've watched the show before, you know I have fibromyalgia. It is a chronic pain disorder. Unfortunately, it makes traveling a little more difficult for me, especially in the cold. So this year's really sucked for me. I really miss that. I really miss playing like baseball and stuff like that. But I am old and I am broken. And not to toot my own horn, I feel like I'm almost decent at bowling. So, you know, I put my energy into this. And the other reason I do this, especially the streaming part, because I see somebody asking about that. When I was growing up, when Scoops and I grew up, because we grew up together, we didn't have trained coaches, trained pro shop people in our area of Canada. So you really had to experiment and go on word of mouth. There wasn't the kind of training that's available today. So when I started becoming a coach, I decided that the reason to do this was to bring this knowledge and make it more accessible to people around the world. Because there's some kids someplace in Siberia or in Alaska or in Florida who doesn't have somebody available to them who has questions. And that's really always been the core of our show. Let's answer some questions. Kingpin reaction versus the cash. We're never going to get to drill this ball. You realize that, guys, right? Kingpin reaction versus the cash. Pretty close traction-wise. The cash I found was a little earlier. But the Kingpin down lane, I felt because it retains a little bit more energy. It has a little more pop down lane. And then that dynamic core, the blue stuff inside, makes it no contest. And And I hate to say that because I love my cash. And my more cash, oh, wow. The more cash and the kingpin I find very similar. Hooking about the same spot. The only difference being really is that that more cash doesn't have the dynamic core. And you can hear it, you can see it. Dave has been throwing my kingpin while he waits for his to come in. And he was like 40 or 50 pins over every game. And he wasn't changing anything. He was just putting it in the pocket and letting the dynamic core do the difference. Are you going to stream more often? I am going to try. We're actually working on right now putting together a system where we can use GoPros. And we're going to try, if we can get this to work, to actually do some live reviews where you'll actually see the good, the bad, the ugly. Wait, does that make Scoops the good and Wayne the bad and me the ugly? I don't know if I like that. But yeah, we're gonna try to stream a lot more, especially when it's warmer. So that's coming. How soon are the videos for the Intel and Tremendous going to be out? To be honest with you, early next week. We got the balls on late Thursday night of last week, and then we went through about 4 days of minus 40 weather here in Ontario. So it was so cold that the hydraulic fluid in my press froze. Like I couldn't move my press. I couldn't physically drill equipment because it had just frozen solid. So we are going to be shooting them this weekend and then hopefully doing the voiceovers Monday, Tuesday, get them out maybe Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Before then, however, I am going to try to post some mini videos of me throwing them or Scoops throwing them and stuff at the center so you guys can at least get a look at the motion. All right. So can we drill this sucker now? We got some... Let's get back down to the ball here. We got some lines on it. It's really hard because it's a green ball and the light. So you can see we got my lines on it. 90 by 3 3/8 by 75. We got a great pin position on it. You can see here it's going to be no problems with our warranty. But it also lets us do this. I'm going to take my white pencil. For those who haven't done, need a better heater. My oil heater froze solid. That's how cold it was. So for a motion hole, it's distinctly known because the hole, rather than being here where we usually have it, it's on the other side of the ball. So we're going to drill, or we're going to run a line from the front of the thumb through the pin. I'm doing this in a different color so I remember it's there. And you go 10 inches past the pin. So that's 4, that's 6. Bada bing. So our motion hole is going to be right here. Now for me, I know already when I do my motion holes, I always have to go 1 inch in. A lot of people forget about this that haven't done a lot of motion holes. Let's see if I can get it out of the light here. There we go. Now you can see it. You see how I've made a mark in here? My track, as it comes around the ball, is very tight to the fingers. So we need to make sure that as it flares across the top of the ball, that the hole isn't flared over. So we mark that out to make sure where it is. And a lot of the time, I will even, to make absolutely sure, I will go to my PAP. Okay. And I will find the line that touches my fingers. It's on the 6.5. This thing actually has numbers on it. If you can see them, it has. I go at the 6.5. And I make sure I trace it around to make sure, because my rooster tail tends to be right about there, that even if it goes 90 degrees, that I'm not going to hit that hole at any point. All right, so let's take that off. Hi, Broderick. What are the majorities of the layouts on the test balls, or why are they the same? Okay, that's a really good question. Charles, the reason that we do it is we want you to be able to look at the ball and compare it objectively against other balls in the market. If I have a Radical ball and, say, a Brunswick ball and a Storm ball, and they all have the same layout, and you identify with one of our bowlers, and you see them throw it, you can actually compare those two balls, how they're going to react. We want to take out the layout and surface element of the ball and just show you how one bowler with basically one layout is able to throw the ball. Now, every once in a while, we'll throw in a different layout, like our Intel here, because we're going to be throwing it specifically on one condition. And we want to be able to show it to people on that condition. So we try to keep them pretty close. Are pins the same ball to ball in location and depth? Pins have a variance that they're allowed. I believe it's 3 pounds 4 ounces up to 3 pounds 10 ounces. But they tend to come out at 3 pounds 6 ounces, pretty close. There are other pins out there, like the Twister from a company in Germany. We got a few of these in to test, and we're hoping to get a video out on them. They have some different weight because they're a synthetic pin. They're all plastic, so they do some different things. But for the most part, they tend to stay out of the box the same. Now, then you have to factor in humidity, storage, usage, blah, 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 blah. That will change the weights more. Mate, I better go do some work. Stay warm. Love to have you. I would love to come down and do some clinics and stuff down with you guys in, well, anywhere. In Australia, in England, in anywhere. I love traveling. Will you test out the new Hypercell Fused? If we get our hands on one, absolutely. For those of you who don't know, when equipment crosses the border from the US to Canada, it instantly gets a lot more expensive. For you guys, a ball that costs, say, $129 for you guys will cost us in the range of $250 here. Storm stuff happens to be the most expensive cost product for us to purchase as somebody who can purchase from a distributor. It tends to be 20 to 25% more expensive than any other brand on the market. And while we would like to review every company, it just comes down to price, where we can't physically buy every ball that comes out. Some companies send us stuff. We do still buy stuff to test it. So we do our best, but we can't do every ball. Sorry, I meant ball pins. Same ball. Are pins the same ball to ball in location and depth? You mean like the placement where they are on the lanes? They should be. I think there's a small variance built into the machine, but they should always set up the same place. Why is that? Is that the money problem? Or not money, but crossing the border? Our money has a different conversion than you guys. Also, because of the tariffs and taxes and stuff with products crossing the border, we get murdered. Honestly, it basically doubles the price of equipment for us. To give you an idea, for us, a fully drilled, like a kingpin, will run you, depending on the shop, anywhere from $250 to $400 before sales tax in Canada. So that tells you kind of an idea. Do you think the Beyond Ridiculous will compare to the Tremendous Pearl? They're going to be very different. Very, very different. Solid cover stock. High differential. It's going to have lots of flair. Where the Tremendous is a slightly higher RG, so it's going to go a little longer. Lower differential, so it's not going to quite flare as much. But we're talking about like millimeters per flare kind of thing. The Tremendous Pearl also has an intermediate differential that allows it to turn the corner a little faster, because as well with its short hook phase. I don't want to really go into ball dynamics, but they're going to give you two different motions. Yo, Laneside, you guys have a match up Pearl. No, we do not. Companies don't like us reviewing entry line balls. I don't know why. I guess they figure that it is what it is. I've drilled some matches and matchups for some people. I haven't thrown one, so I can just say that looked good when they threw it. So that's about all I got. I'm sorry, buddy. Did you guys make a review on the Katana? Yes, and it's posted. And we had to do a funny layout on it, which is good for that question about layouts. We got a really short pin where this is a 4-inch pin. The pin we got on the Katana was less than an inch, so we had very limited amount of layout possibilities. But I will tell you, we laid it out 70 by 3.5 by 75, which is supposed to be a mid-lane read, very strong mid-lane reaction. And it pretty much outhooks anything as long as it finds friction. That ball is insanely good. Have you guys done Hammer Dark Legend review? We have not. But I'm not going to say anything on this video, but just keep an eye out on our page because we are going to be making some big announcements about what we're reviewing. I'm lost, Dave. I'm sorry. I've been out in the cold all day. You can ask me tomorrow at League if you want. I'm sorry. My brain seems to have checked out. So, do you guys want to drill? Can we get this thing in the press? Because I bet most of you have never seen a press like this. So let's see here. So let's pull the camera over. Have you guys ever... Let me even take this out. I'm going to show you guys this press. This press is awesome. Everybody's seen a mill press before. The ones that stand up and they pull the thing down. Yeah, well, this is the granddaddy of ball presses. All right? This is the Gilmac Precision Control Ball Driller. I have parts of 9 of these in my shop. I pretty much cornered the market. No, I've never seen it pressed with a Deviate sticker. Yeah, that's a load-bearing sticker. It helps keep it together. Yeah, Final Raptor, I did see that. The new drive that he's got coming out. We'll see what that is when it's there. Oh, yeah, check this out, guys. Check this out. Look at that awesome picture of Parker Bone with the amazing mustache and that combat zone tracer. Okay, so this press works differently than a regular milk press, and I'll show you why. Check this out. Yep. Most presses are straight up and down. This one locks the ball in the center, and the press moves around the ball. It means that once it's locked into place, you never have to worry about that ball moving, in theory. It's not black zone, but you can't win them all. I know. So I don't even know if I'm here. Before we get, I'm gonna give you guys a tour. So over here we have a Diva core that I pulled out. This ball was good, but I decided that I wanted to show off a core, so I busted it open by hand with an axe. That's my cool rose ball. Of course, the Masterworks of Tenacious D. My Turbo display. Once again, thank you to Turbo for everything you do. You guys take amazing care of us. Is there a laser guide? No laser guide. Turbo takes care of us with our switch grips and our Quad Pro grips. By far my favorite things in the market. We got some shoes, other balls. That box over there, that red one, that has my... Let's see if I can pull them out here. Oh, no, they're not in there. That's why. They have my SST4s that I bought when I was 18, so 22 years ago. They're Disco Ball Silver. Of course, another Radical jersey. Some awesome autograph stuff. And of course, Bowl for Life. If you have a chance to support them, definitely support. Some bowling balls. My Rude Dude that I threw my first 300 with. Before I signed with Brunswick, I had another ball that I threw a big score with that I have up on there. And then I've got, of course, my stations for surfacing, my cool vacuum system, my engraver. That's a custom Scott engraver. It's been redone. And then my weigh station, of course, my awesome IPSIA certifications. I'm a technically certified bowling pro shop professional. My awesome autographed Parker Bone poster that matches my wall color. Total accident. My Reviver, of course. And then my door, my autographed door. This used to actually, before I started doing this stuff, I had a studio in my house that I was doing photographs in. So this was my studio. I had it completely converted. So let's get to some drilling. How about that? I would really like to get to some drilling. I have another ball I have to drill a little bit later. For a gentleman who is celebrating his 50th birthday. So I have promised to get it done for him so that he can pick it up tomorrow. Question on grips. Do you prefer lifts or ovals? 6 1/2 dozen of the other. I like lifts, but I don't like that you have to change the pitches in your equipment because you actually lose anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 inch in your grips depending on how tall the lift is. The ovals give you a true feel, more like a drilled finger. But if my fingers are sore, that's not good. So it just depends. I am so wishy-washy. I'm sorry, guys. What is your favorite ball in your arsenal? Currently, probably a toss-up between the Katana and my More Cash. My More Cash has been really good for me this year. We had a little bit of extra oil, not a lot of back end earlier in the year, and that ball was able to turn the corner for me. And the Katana is just a ball. If I want to stand left and throw right and just strike, that ball is it. All time, however, I have two. The Sapphire Zone from Brunswick and the Helix. I have the Helix here. I'm still looking for a Sapphire Zone, an original one, not a pearl. Are you going to install a switch grip? Absolutely, I'm going to install a switch grip right in front of you guys. Do you wear Brunswick shoes? I have the TPUs right now, I actually just was delivered. I guess not just. It was about a month ago. I was delivered the brand new Team Brunswick shoe. And I am in the process of putting my 30 games on them. I don't like to evaluate a shoe unless I get enough games on it to see how they broke in, how they stay that way, how the Velcro is, things like that. I too had issues with another shoe company. Not really an issue per se on their part. It's an issue on my part, where because of the way I step, I actually wore through the sole in an odd place, which hasn't happened with my TPUs and has not happened with my Team Brunswicks. So I really like that part so far. Favorite bowlers to watch? Okay, I'm going to throw out some names here that you guys have probably don't think of very often for favorite bowlers. One of my favorite bowlers just opened up a shop in Linwood, Mr. Eugene Mcewen. People think that he is a fiery gentleman. Some people find him a little too fiery. But I will tell you this story, and it ruins his rep as a tough guy. And I'm sorry about this, Eugene. When I was at the World Series, the scorpion pattern, I had struggled to that point for my first World Series, and we got on the scorpion, and something clicked, and I started shooting real good. I'd shot in like a deuce, and then a deuce 40, and then something else, and I was actually, doing not too bad. Unfortunately, someone left a piece of tape on the ground by my slide foot, which got onto there. And I went up to throw a shot and stuck with my arm fully behind me, full speed ahead. Ended up stuck and basically folded like a house of cards. The ball hit me, knocked me senseless. I hit the ground, hit my head on the ground, hit my shoulder on the ground. This guy that everybody talks about, sometimes not being friendly or being too fiery, was the very first guy who was there to help me. He helped me get off the lane. He made sure I was okay. Eugene Mcewen is, I would say, probably a very underrated nice guy on tour. And he's a heck of a lot of fun to watch. And I'm sorry that he's not on the tour anymore. I know he's come off the tour to run his shop. But he is a guy that most people know that he can throw it, the high hard one. But I've watched him hook the lane. I've watched him loft the lane. I've watched him throw a million shots. He's got that kind of ability, like a Norm Duke, who can go to any kind of shot and just bowl on anything. So I'm glad I could share that with you. I'm sorry if I killed your tough guy image, Eugene. Other bowlers I love to watch. I could watch Jason Sterner bowl all day. Dude practices more than I do, and that's saying something. And probably has one of the smoothest swings I've ever seen from start to finish. That guy is he is pure gold. Another guy I love to watch is Sean. He is our brand ambassador, which is one thing. I mean, Sean Rash is a great bowler. But he's entertaining. Super entertaining on the lanes. Super release. Yeah, Sean's a fun guy to watch because of his intensity.